You're listening to Tour Tech, your 5 weekly takeaways to tourism success. This series is brought to you by the digital tourism think tank in partnership with the European project Tourbit, which is co-financed by the European Commission's COSME program for SMEs. I'm Nick Hall, founder of the digital tourism think tank, joined by our series co-host Marie Texier, looking after Tourbit for Paris & Co. And each week, we'll be bringing you insightful discussions with tourism SMEs undergoing digital transformation together with the innovative tech partners who are guiding them on that journey.
Booking.com's Sustainable Travel Report 2023 highlights a pressing dilemma faced by travellers worldwide. Whilst 76% of travellers expressed a desire for more sustainable travel options, only 43% are actually willing to pay more. So the question arises, how can tourism businesses leverage the right digital tools to address this rising demand for sustainable travel without offering that at a premium?
In this discussion, we will understand how we can link sustainability with tourism, because we can all be change maker. We can all do one little action to improve the sustainability and our habits. So in this episode, you will have a really interesting case studies on how to implement a carbon footprint calculator in your business.
We'll be sitting down together with Anne Robertz, the director of Greentripper, a Belgian company that's dedicated to calculating the carbon footprint of tourism experiences by measuring, comparing, and reducing the negative impact of tourism, whilst also contributing positively to climate projects. We'll also be meeting with Maxime Mertens, the co-founder of DiscoveRent, a budding enterprise that creates and organizes adventure travel through guided trips to the great outdoors in various countries throughout Europe. So let's have a listen and hear what they had to say.
I'm Anne. I'm a director of Greentripper. Greentripper is a Belgian company, and we are dedicated to the calculation of carbon footprint for travels. We help travelers and business professionals to calculate their travel impact, to compare and reduce it, and finally to give back to climate projects.
Hi, my name is Maxime. I'm the co-founder at DiscoveRent. DiscoveRent is a digital catalog that creates and organizes adventure-guided travels in the outdoors. With DiscoveRent, you can, for example, do your first 4,000 summit in the Alps, or you can go kayaking in the big lakes of Sweden. You can also go on the Beaver Trail in Belgium, in our country, for a day. So we propose small experiences, outdoor experiences and guided experiences, but only in Europe. Today we have 48 experiences and about 12 disciplines, sportive disciplines that we propose.
Okay, really interesting. And how did you end up working together? Maxime, how did you know you wanted a solution like a carbon footprint for your solution?
So something that is very important that I forget to say in our presentation is that DiscoveRent has a strong DNA of sustainable travel. So we believe a lot in low impact travel. So every travel that DiscoveRent creates is eco-designed. So from the basis, when we create a travel, we try to have the most possible low impact travel. We do that through minimizing the carbon footprint on food, on transportation, of course, and on hospitality. And so that's how we thought about the logic following of measuring the carbon footprint of our expeditions, of our travels. And in Belgium, there is a well-known company that does that. It's Greentripper, who proposes the breakdown of carbon footprint of traveling and travels. And so that's how we entered in contact and that we began to work together.
So the digital challenge you faced, can you explain more in detail? What was it?
So the real challenge was to showcase our commitment to sustainable travel. So we wanted to demonstrate the efforts that DiscoveRent is doing on a day-to-day basis to propose sustainable travel or low impact travel. So that's really in a nutshell the challenge we faced.
Okay, and Anne, can you explain how Greentripper can answer to this challenge?
So Greentripper, we have public website, which is on greentripper.org, available for all travelers. But behind this carbon footprint calculator, you have what we call API. So it means that the calculator, we can put it on external website or software of our climate partner. And so it's what we proposed to DiscoveRent was to integrate the API, so the calculator of Greentripper, on their website, and so that every customer can have the information about carbon for all their travels and transportation.
Let's pretend I am based in Belgium and I want to do an expedition in France using DiscoveRent. I really would like to go in the Vosges. How the information of the carbon footprint will be displayed on DiscoveRent?
So how it will be, it's on our website. You will find a real catalog with a lot of expeditions and travels. So every customer or every user of our website is able to click on one of the expeditions. So I heard you were interested in a travel in the Vosges. So you will choose, for example, snow chewing in the Vosges. So you will click on it. And on this travel, you will see the eco note. So on a really transparent manner, if the expedition is already low impact or not expedition. And once you have the eco note, you can see the details that were calculated by Greentripper of a carbon breakdown of the travel really directly on our website. So the customer, you will be able to see directly, oh, snow chewing in the Vosges, it's 300 kilos of carbon emissions for the travel. I say it like this, it's not a real number. And you will be able to see the breakdown. All 50% is due to transportation, 20% is due to hospitality, 10% is due to the equipment we will use. And so it's really giving the opportunity to the client to see on a really transparent manner the impact of the travel. And so they can take enlightened decisions when they try on or when they want to go on a travel with us.
And if I may, Maxime, I think we will show also for, if we can take the example of Sweden, your customer can also see the difference between if they take train or if they take plane to go to the meeting point in Sweden. So it can be also an important way to make them decide for a more sustainable way or low impact travel transport.
Indeed, and that's thanks to the calculations of Anne, who did the comparison of the different transportation possibilities. And thanks to that, our customers will be able to choose wisely how to come to the departure of the travel.
It's really interesting because this way we have all the information to take better decision. How do you audit travels? Can you explain us the behind the scene of a Greentripper calculation?
So we have a database. You have all the information you can find on the public website of Greentripper. You will have all the transportation, all the accommodation possibilities. But when we work with travel professional like DiscoveRent, we also have to make research because all the emission factor, so what we call emission factor, they are not available for everything. So we have also to make our own study. So yeah, maybe I can explain emission factor. It's the gram CO2 per kilometer, for example. This is an emission factor, and where we will find this kind of information. Naturally, we certified bilan carbone in France, and we also follow the methodology DEFRA. So it depends of the unit we have to calculate. So you have several official methodologies existing, and so we are based on it, and we calculate it by kilometer or by night if it's the accommodation for a meal, if it's about the food. Yes, and we make the audits and we compare every travels among others.
So if we take the example of Sweden, so you will calculate the emission depending on the transportation, if it's by plane, by boat, or by train, for example.
Yeah, actually, we compare, for example, plane and train. I have the figures exactly if you want. So we are more or less for return flights. Yeah, we take Brussels, but it can be Paris. It won't change a lot. It's around 4 kilos CO2 per traveler if they can plane to go to the meeting point in Sweden. And if they take the train, we will be around 50 kilos. And after that, we have also all the information given by DiscoveRent. So which food, is it local, seasonal, is it zero waste or not? We will look for the accommodation. So is it a tent, a hut, a teepee, I don't know, a tiny house? So we will calculate in function of the accommodation. We will calculate the waste, if there are waste, if it's not a zero waste travel. Do they need a minibus or a car on place? So we will calculate everything impactful for the travel in order to give an audit. So, for example, here for Sweden, it was 7 days, I think, and we were around 470 kilos CO2 with the plane, and with the train, it was 90 kilos CO2 for the whole travel. So it allows travelers to make conscious decision.
And taking into account these numbers, Maxime, do you sometimes feel that you can advise your local contact also to improve what they are offering to your guests, maybe having more local foods or things like that?
Yes, I think that also, but just to complete also something here, what is very important is that, as you said, maybe it has also an impact on our local partners, but it has a big impact on our customers. So on this trip in Sweden, it's important to highlight that all our clients came by carpooling. So no one came by plane. And so that's also thanks to the calculation from Anne. We are able to show them the different carbon footprints of the transportation. And all those clients came by carpooling. They came with 2 cars. There were 8 in total, so 4 by cars. And so it's really cool to see that, and really also joyful to see that it has really an impact on the way people are traveling, and they take it into account. That was just a point I wanted to say. And about our local partners, it has an impact because when we create a travel with one of our guides, we have a charter with our guides. We are making sure that our guides are sharing the same values as us. And it means that it happens a lot that when we make a travel with a guide, he says to us, guys, I have already a really cool place where people can stay during the travel. So we found a guide, we create the travel, and then we have already also the place where our guests will stay for the nights. And the guides directly try to find also a place that is in line with our values. So they will directly try to find a place that has low carbon footprint. And what are these places? Eco-lodges, and eco-lodges that are lodges with an eco label. And there are a lot in France and a lot in Europe. And so we're trying really to work with these little lodges that are mainly run by families, local families. And those eco-lodges are sometimes not easy to find. They are not on internet. And so thanks to our guides that know our values, that know for which values we stand for, we find these little eco-lodges that are really nice places where our clients will stay for a week. And so, yes, it has an impact. And I think it has a really positive impact for the client experience and for the global carbon footprint of the travel.
Definitely, it's a win-win situation. On one hand, you are saving the planet, and the other hand, you are supporting local people.
Yeah, we are really trying to support local partners, really. So we really try to only work with locals. Sometimes it's really difficult because sometimes you are going to other places that are really far of everything, where there is no one living there. So sometimes we have to work with guides that are not from the region because there is nothing in those regions. But when we can, we only work with the locals.
And And I have a question for you. How does it long it take for you to do an audit? We can stay on the Sweden expedition, for example.
Yeah, it depends actually of the expedition. Some will be really rapid because some travels of DiscoveRent are also shorter. So if it's 2-3 days and there are no change of accommodation, there is one transport with the car, it will be quite rapid. But sometimes if it's longer travels and we have to make research also for the emission factor of some accommodation type or other thing we don't have, so it can be longer. So it can take, depending on the travels, between, I don't know, 30 minutes and 2 hours if we have to make research. But the objective is to build our database more and more with emission factors and be able to be more rapid on this and to digitalize everything also.
Maxime, or maybe Anne, you can answer also to this question. Which numbers are you going to track to make sure this digitalization project is really efficient?
Firstly, there is a question of, is it efficient? So to check the efficiency of it, we will check the number of people going on the carbon footprint breakdown pages, web pages. So we can track that. We can track how much people are going on each pages of our website. And so we will see how much people are interested in traveling on an enlightened manner. So traveling with all the information they'll know. But what is most important for us is not really how effective the project will be, but more those people that are enlightened, that have all the information they need to take enlightened decision, does they do also enlightened decision. So on our website, you will be able to check if expeditions with a lower carbon footprint have more success than expedition with a higher carbon footprint. It will be really interesting to see if the market is now really sensitive to responsible travel and how much they are sensitive. So to measure the sensitivity of the market, I think it will be very interesting. And that's also our goal. It is to be a pilot project for our industry. And so we'll be able maybe to say to the industry when they look, our travels with a low, really low carbon footprint have more success than travels with a bigger carbon footprint because they are farther away. And also to show, because that's really our mission, that experiences are more important than destination. So you can have a really nice holiday week with an incredible experience really near of your home that will be maybe more successful in terms of market size than destinations that are really far at the other side of the world, but that will maybe where you will maybe get the same experience that you can get in Europe, in fact. That's a bit what we're trying to find out and to show also.
Yeah, for us, naturally, it's the same figures are interesting. It's to our first motivation is to make the travelers more conscious, more aware of the carbon footprint. Naturally, if we see that there is more interest for low carbon travels, it's a really good sign. And another thing that we will look at is also the ones who would like to give back to climate projects. Sometimes some people want to travel by train and even they want to contribute to a climate project. The logical we have at Greentripper is not that, yeah, okay, you can take the plane and after you give back. It's not that. The logical is we sensibilize, so we calculate, we propose to compare. It's what DiscoveRent will do. If you can reduce your travel impact by making conscious choice like carpooling or train, for example, it's great. And after that, you see the unavoidable emissions or plane or carpooling or train. And after that, you can decide to contribute to a climate projects who will sequestrate or avoid or reduce CO2 emissions. So it's also another figure.
So travelers can contribute directly on Greentripper, or it's through DiscoveRent they will contribute to projects?
That's a part of the project of Tourbit we haven't done yet. We want to integrate the contribution. Now the next step is to see how we can implement that. In fact, on a technical way, I don't know it yet. So how do we send the information about which client was on which expedition, and so what was his carbon footprint, and then how we contribute for each client? The technical things, I don't know yet how we are going to integrate that, but the goal at the end of the project is that when a client is going on a travel with DiscoveRent, a part of what he's paying is going directly in the project to do the carbon contribution. So that every time a client goes on an expedition with us, what there is left of carbon footprint on our travels, we can contribute to it and give it back to the planet also with the Greentripper.
So just for me to be sure I understood, is it the client that is paying more because he wants to offset his carbon footprint, or is it your turnover, that your benefits you are giving to the project?
It will, in fact, be really slight. We have to check it with Dan, but a really slight amount to pay a bit more. But on the amount of an expedition, which is on average 500 euros on the DiscoveRent catalog, it will be really slight. So they won't even notice it.
Actually, DiscoveRent makes already low carbon travels. So for most of the travels, it will be very low. It's just to be conscious that, it has an impact, because every human action has an impact, even if you take the train. But it's really small. And yes, it's also because DiscoveRent wants to go to the end of the logical. And it's interesting.
And I think what is very interesting with Greentripper is that the project in which this money is reinvested, you can choose for it if it is local project or global project. And so we can choose for local projects. So it means when you are from France or from Belgium and you go on a travel with us, this small amount that you will have to pay and that you won't even notice for carbon compensation, in fact, it will directly be invested in a local project really nearby your house. So you will make it benefit to really local projects. So it has a lot of sense for us. And we are really committed in going as far as possible in the end of the logic.
And talking about your digitalization collaboration to help DiscoveRent being more digital, do you have any best practices you can share with our listeners that they could implement in their own businesses?
I would say in general that more and more travelers will ask to have more information about their carbon footprint. And one of the best way to communicate it is to digitalize it. And so to integrate it in the different platform. So for the travel professionals, I think it will become a must in the coming years. So it's important to show the impact of every action we propose for the travels.
And to even go deeper, so you are helping travel agencies, but maybe Greentripper, you can also help the hotel and accommodation with DiscoveRent are working with to also help them having carbon footprint on their own website. Is it possible?
So it's possible. A hotel can indeed decide to communicate the information about the carbon footprint of a night spent in the hotel, and also communicate to the travelers the impact they have with their transport means. So the API can be put on a hotel website in order to communicate on this information.
And it works by API, so it's really plug and play solution.
Yeah, more or less.
Easy to use. We don't have to be afraid of using this solution as an hotel or travel agency, right?
No, we don't have to be afraid. We need a developer to integrate it. It's not just that you can do it as if you are not an IT people. It's quite easy. to integrate it.
And is Greentripper doing the integration, or does the travel agency need to have someone internally to do it?
No, the travel agency needs someone to do it.
Okay, so it's something to take into account. Maybe we will end this discussion. I have some remaining questions, and just let me know if you have anything to share on the main takeaway that the SMEs that are listening to this podcast can take from this discussion.
Yeah, so for me, the main takeaway for travel SME and especially for travel agency, because we are a travel agency, so I think it has sense to speak for travel agencies, that responsible travel is becoming a norm. A lot of people are caring about traveling on a responsible manner or a responsible way. A lot of people are also not aware, I think, about the possibilities and how to travel on a responsible way. And it has some sense for travel agencies today, nowadays, to enlighten those people about how to travel on a responsible way and what is responsible travel. And so that's what we are trying to do. And there is two ways to do that: proposing responsible travel, so proposing low impact travel or slow travel, and then also giving the people, giving the users, giving the customers the information they need to travel on a responsible way. And that's what we are trying to do, and that's what we are trying to say also to the industry, the travel industry. Don't be afraid to try to give information and to enlighten people on what is responsible travel and how you can travel on a responsible or low impact way.
I just have a question on the economical benefit, because as a founder of a company, everyone wants to win money. And do you think this kind of solution can help you save money, or maybe attract a new kind of customer that can be interesting? What is your interest besides saving the planet to do that?
So the financial benefits of the Tourbit project are simply of doing responsible travel, because in fact it's in line. Firstly, we can say it easily: responsible travel has a really strong logic with outdoor travel, because we are trying also to save the ecosystems in which we are organizing our travels. It means when we are going to do alpinism on glaciers, but of course a big problem today is that glaciers are melting. So I think the numbers is like in 2050 there will be no glaciers anymore in the Alps. So there is a real challenge today to firstly think about long term. So there is no way of thinking about financial benefits if it is to in fact delete a lot of travels, a lot of economical activity in the Alps, because there will be no glaciers. So that's one thing. We are thinking long term, and financial benefits, I think it can be smart also to think it on a long term way. And then secondly, we are proposing also, in fact, being in this niche, we are doing higher margin than standard travel agency, but that's because we are working directly with receptives, so with guides, with the hospitality, and with the catering. So we are really in control of the whole value chain. We are not working with an operator tour in the middle of it. So that's a way for us to balance maybe the financial cost that can be higher of being responsible. But now we observe that our margins are higher than the standard of the market. So it works. And of course, we have a bit more of work because we're creating the travels and we have to manage all the local partners. But all the sale part is going through our digital platform, our catalog, so on our website. So by having really seamless processes, digital process, and working with good applications online, a good customer relation management system, we can also diminish our workload on this part. Of course, we had to think, in fact, the whole value chain, but today it's working, and I don't really think financial benefits are really linked to the responsible travel. In fact, responsible travel is not giving us more financial benefit or less. It's just a commitment that we take and that we think is really important. And it's also a commitment for our clients. But a real financial impact of responsible travel, no. I would say it has an image impact, of course, but not the direct financial impact. The financial impact is really due to the fact that we are working directly with receptives and not having a tour operator or something in the middle of the value chain.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I think you opened my mind on the long-term vision. I didn't think about that, but it's really clear that if we don't protect the mountains, the environment, we won't have nowhere to go in the next decades. So I really appreciate your vision. And I think the business model we are used to needs to change to take into account the carbon footprint. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. And is there anything you would like to add for the people that are listening to this podcast?
Yeah, that's quite actually similar to what Maxime said. I think today there is just no choice. It's a question of resilience, and it would be great if any SMEs also starts to take into account carbon footprint impact and to integrate it on their products, etc. So I think today it's a must. I think it's a strength and to show to the customers and the community that the SMEs or travel professional is resilient and adapt and is aware of what's happening and what we have all to do.
Thank you. Thank you for this conclusion. For still our listeners, Maxime, where they can find your company and how they can have more information on your expedition.
So everything is on our website, DiscoveRent.com. On our website, you can find all our travels and all the information about it. And now, thanks to Anne, in 1 or 2 months, we will see also the clear breakdown that Anne calculated on the website.
And travelers from all over Europe can access your expedition, right?
Yes.
And same question for you, Anne. Travel agencies, accommodation, public organization, how can they get to know what you're doing and maybe use your services?
They can simply make a test on greentripper.org calculator, and they can also contact us on info@greentripper.org, and we will make a pleasure to answer and help them if we can.
Okay, and same, it's for company only in Brussels, or you can work with other countries?
No, we work with other European countries too. We have several customers in France, for example. We work also with one in Canada.
Okay, and I didn't ask the question. Can you tell us more about your business model? And please, for people that are curious about that.
So we make actually services for companies or travel professionals. We make overall carbon footprints of the travel professionals. We make travel audits, as we explained earlier. We can also organize trainings about business travels, workshops with the travel professionals to understand how we can reduce year by year the carbon footprint of travel. So all this are consultancy services actually. And we have also our digital calculator, which is integrated on the external website. So it's based on that. And yes, naturally we sell carbon credits and we only take a small commission, if I can say, to cover our administrative for the managing of this.
That was a really fascinating discussion. Now, I know, Marie, you're actually very passionate about traveling sustainably. So tell me what stood out for you in that conversation.
In this conversation, I realized that being aware of your impact is already a good first step. And we should all start knowing the impact we have when we take the train compared to the plane. or when we choose to go through booking, or when we choose to go directly with their accommodation, it has a huge impact you can't even imagine for the local community as well as for the sustainability. So I all encourage you to start with small steps, but if everyone does a small step, we will keep traveling while being aware of the environment, which is so key today.
I think that's a really great takeaway. So we're going to wrap up with our 5 key takeaways. But as usual,
subscribe and let's see you next Monday.
So what are the 5 key takeaways to tourism success from today's discussion? Well, number 1, today's travelers are increasingly seeking responsible and low-impact travel options. It's really important that in the tourism business, we are in a good position to provide that. It's not only key for that competitive edge, as we've heard about the rising demand for this, but we also have a moral responsibility to ensure that our products and experiences are either low impact or perhaps even are regenerative in nature and can create a positive impact. This is not only part of our competitive set, but we also have an obligation to transform and transition towards this. The second key takeaway is to think about the role of technology. Embedding things like carbon footprint calculators is just one small step we can take towards creating more empowerment for our users to be able to make a conscious decision about what it is they're going to book or buy. And this is really important as there's an increasing demand for transparency and greater understanding about the impact of our choices. Number 3, internationally recognized standards, such as ISOs, are a really important part of the picture. They help us to align everything we're doing with commonly recognized standards, provide clear and accessible information on the impact that our consumers' decisions might have, and also allow people to make informed decisions about what it is that they're going to book and the overall governance model that sits behind that sustainability effort. Number 4, empowering travelers to compare and choose sustainable travel options will also help us overall as an industry significantly reduce our environmental impact, something we're required to do, but sometimes can be quite challenging. Technology is the key here because it can allow us to create the mechanism to achieve that, and so it's really key. And this is how we can go step by step towards creating an overall more positive impact from our industry. And number 5, a strong ethics-based supply chain where sustainability data sits right at the heart of our proposition is key to finding a competitive edge in today's tourism landscape. Technology can play a vital role in allowing us to curate, connect, and build purpose around the values that sit behind that proposition. And lastly, a little reminder for all the businesses listening, take a moment to learn more about the EU's Green Claims Directive. This is designed to ensure that claims related to sustainability can be substantiated. Even more reason, as we've heard in today's discussion, to invest in having solid data, transparency, and understanding based on recognized standards that ensure that we can back up our sustainability credentials.
You've been listening to Tour Tech. That's a wrap for another week. If you liked today's episode, be sure to leave a review and share amongst your networks across social. These 2 small actions make a really big difference. We appreciate the time you take to listen and, of course, to share. Make sure you don't miss future episodes. New episodes are released every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcasting platforms. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and get your podcasts every week in your inbox. Tourbit is a partnership co-funded by the European Commission's COSME program for small and medium-sized enterprises, and it's led by an incredible team of partners who are all as passionate about what they do as the businesses they're supporting. This includes the Catalan Tourist Board, Barcelona Chamber of Commerce, Paris & Co, Tourism 4.0 in Slovenia, Hub Brussels, Iceland's Tourism Cluster, the Lapland University of Applied Sciences, and NEST, the Tourism Innovation Centre in Portugal. On behalf of these incredible partners at Tourbit and the European Commission, and of course here at the Digital Tourism Think Tank. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next week.